became a client of ours around 6 months ago. We were introduced by a Tony Robbins coach because we have a mutual fanboying of Tony Robbins and a lot of his courses. But I invited you on today because I know that you're going to have the most amazing story of your business career but like the changes that you've made as well. Because I feel like your business today and how you run it is very different to previous years and what you've achieved and now what you can do with your time. So I just want to delve into all of that juiciness. But to start, Adrian, it would be really great if you could introduce the listeners to who you are, the businesses you have.
Yeah, certainly. Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me. It's very nice to meet you in person. So I mean, I've been in business for myself for this is coming up to my 14 years anniversary, and I got into I started working in a video conferencing business many years ago, from about 2000, before it was even a thing. And so I worked for a number of different businesses, got to understand the market. And I realised that actually the way that they're going about it, they're all serving themselves.
Right.
And I wanted to serve the client. I thought that was actually far more important. And so I set up my own business in 2010. Principally, it was going to be a consultancy. And I spent the first sort of 12, 18 months doing consultancy work. And then the clients that I'm working with were so impressed with the work that I was doing for them. They were like, can't you just supply and do the whole thing for us instead? So, my first rollout was for a big bank organisation. And so then the company kind of took off from there. So I had no intention of having a business. I just wanted to be on my own and do some consultancy work. But I allowed the forces of business to take over, supply and demand and leverage. Because one of the things I worked out as a consultant is you do all the work all the time. When you don't have a day off, you don't get paid.
As in like hourly rate, time for money. Okay.
Yeah. It was a very good day rate, and I'm very happy, and I loved the clients that I worked for. As a consultant, I was going to places like Great Ormond Street Hospital, designing radiology theatres. I built global video conferencing networks for people like Glencore, Priceline, or Booking.com, Computer Sciences Corporation. So big businesses. Wow. And but then I moved into being more of a traditional reseller model or value-added reseller model. So we would take a solution, design it, and build it up, and build incredible meeting room solutions for businesses. And for the first 5 years of that business in total, it was me at the helm, doing everything, doing everybody's job. People coming to me and leaning on me really, really heavily, and working very long hours.
As in, like, members of your team coming to you and leaning on you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I was obviously doing the sales, I was doing the finance. I had a team of people around me, but I didn't really know how to manage people. Not really. I knew how to do video conferencing really, really well. I didn't know how to do being a businessman, and so we were successful, but we hit a threshold, and we just, we were batting against that limit for, in the seven figures, but we just couldn't break through it for quite a long time. And it was in 2015, end of 2015, I started working with my first business coach.
Okay.
A guy called Paul Winterbottom, and I worked with Paul up until earlier this year. We built a fantastic relationship. And he really he guided me down some of the principles of operating a business and moving from being the go-to guy for absolutely everything. And the first thing that we did is it was quite extreme, but I went to Thailand for 4 weeks.
Okay.
And left the team to see what would happen.
Right. Wow.
And
was that nerve-wracking?
Well, not in Thailand. There was a level of stress, but it's far enough away and time zone enough away to
of course.
Not be able to connect to it. And I toured around Thailand and Laos and Cambodia, and had a wonderful experience. I'd separated from my wife as well, so It's all kind of tied in quite nicely. And then all of a sudden I came back, and the people that I thought would run the business in my absence just melted under the pressure. And it was a real eye opener to understand that these people that they took advantage, they were leaving early and all the rest of it in my absence.
Oh,
so,
really?
And that's when I understood that the reason why these guys were excelling is because I was actually doing the job for them. So it was a wonderful eye opener.
And did other people? So like you said there was people that melted. Did you also see that there was some other people that had skills or were taking the lead that you didn't?
Absolutely, yeah. So some people really rose to the top,
right,
and stepped up. But what it did, it gave me a much better understanding of how to run the culture of a business and how about creating personal accountability. And for when I was recruiting people moving forward, my job was to recruit them into the culture of the business, but also ensure that their values aligned with mine, and the culture of what I wanted for the client, which was the most important thing. They had the same ethos, they had the same work ethic, and so the team that I kind of brought on, moving on from there. They've all been with me since that time, and they now run the business on a day-to-day basis. So I slowly, over the next sort of 5 years after that experiment in 2016, and I don't recommend it. There's much better ways to do it.
Was there any financial impact on that 4 weeks, or was it?
No, nothing at all. It's at the end of the day, it was a successful business. It wasn't really an impact on the client. It was more of an impact on the way that the business was being run. Yeah, and it was long enough for me to be away, and the cracks to be seen.
Yeah.
Short enough that it didn't have any lasting impact on the business. And, it was designed by, it seemed an extreme thing to do, but it was planned, and we hoped what the outcome would be. It wasn't, but it wasn't quite what it would be.
Yeah.
We wanted them to take accountability and ownership, and that's not quite what happened, but.
And just how many, when you left that 4 weeks, how many team members did you have that you were leaving to it? What did it look like?
At that point, there was about team of 10.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so there was resilience. There was enough people in that business to operate it. But I was, like I say, I was involved in everything. I was working 50, 60 hours a week. And, and a lot of that put the pressure on at home, working long hours and I was
going to ask, had that had an impact?
That had an impact on it, but also it had an impact in the fact that I hit the bottle quite a lot.
Really?
The pressure from coming home from work, and the first thing I would do is, open the fridge, either get a cider out or get a bottle of vodka out, and I got to the stage where I was comfortably drinking a bottle of vodka a night after work.
Okay.
And it was funny. I was looking at some of my Facebook memories, and one popped up recently. And it's like one of the good things, and it was like just a bottle of Grey Goose. I said, one of the good things about drinking a bottle of vodka in the week is I can afford the good stuff, so you don't get a hangover. Right? And that was the justification that I used in my own mind.
That was your Facebook. You'd put that on Facebook at the time.
And
seemed like a good thing to do. Really.
You look back at it and go, "Wow, okay." But it's fascinating. That's where your head was at. That was how I coped with the pressure of it, because I'm a sole shareholder, sole director. I didn't have anyone else around me supporting me other than Paul, my business coach at the time. Obviously, my marriage had split up, broken down as well. So, and we have 4 children. So there's a lot of pressure.
There's a lot going on.
And this is not a woe is me story.
No.
This is for me,
it's a real story.
This is part of the huge growth that I went through since that time. So,
and can I just ask what what was the trigger to reach out to Paul? Like, because a lot of people still won't know who to get for help out. Like, how did you go?
Well, I was really lucky because one of my clients turned around to me and we were talking, and a guy called Rich Pennington from a company called Fornet. So we did a lot of their video conferencing for their business. They're a telecoms company. And we were sat having a meeting one day, and he turned around. I'd obviously been offloading to him, and he just turned around and said, "You need to speak to somebody. Because you need some help." He said, "I've got these 3 other directors that run this business with me, and you're trying to do it on your own." So if Richard listened to this, thank you, Richard, because that was a massive change in my life. That awakening that I don't have to do this on my own was huge. And then all of a sudden I started working with Paul, and I was in this board. We had a mastermind of like 5 other business owners from around Manchester. Where we shared each other, we had accountability to each other. And it really kind of elevated, and that was the start of the journey. and I started working less and less hours and giving more and more responsibility to the team. COVID came along, obviously in 2020, and we were lucky because people were buying video conferencing, but Zoom almost wiped out our business.
Really?
We were partnered with another company called Lifesize.
Oh, wow.
Zoom came away and gave it all away for free, and it took away multi-seven figures of pipeline business away from it, and well into the high sixes figures of annuity-based business.
Oh my gosh, I thought you were going to say the complete opposite then.
No,
right? Wow.
No, so most of the traditional video conferencing resellers at that time were quite badly affected. Now, but the wonderful thing is it gave us the impetus that we needed to do something different. So we allowed to restructure the team, the way we operated, and now we create incredible Microsoft Teams meeting rooms. Now, so we really focus on working with Microsoft Teams. We do Zoom as well, Zoom rooms, but we look after some incredible customers. For a small team based out of Manchester, to look after, I'm not going to name drop, but huge multinational pharmacy companies, retail giants,
Wow.
financial institutions, NHS trusts, and of course, loads and loads of smaller businesses across the country as well.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm truly blessed that I've got a wonderful team that we've built up over the years, and it's got to the stage now that with the systems and processes that we put into place, I only work 5 hours a week on Clear VC.
Amazing.
And,
Wow.
And Rebecca, who is my COO, she runs the business on a day-to-day basis.
Really?
And the team just operate at a really high level.
And what does your team look like now, just in terms of size?
16 at the moment.
I feel like that's really helpful for people listening, because it's not like 100 people company. It's a effective.
Yes. Lean, mean fighting machine.
Yeah. Because I'm in masterminds like you are, and I think one of the most common things that comes up is that the business owner is effectively, as you hear the problems, they're right in the middle of everything, and people are just waiting for the next instruction, the next, everything's driven, and it's draining for sure, and you need people around you that you can lead as well. But I just wanted to ask, when you came back from Thailand and you realised that people had melted and some people were really good, did you have to learn how to make people accountable? Or because so many people can benefit from this, just getting a couple more people in their team a bit more oh no, that's on me, that I have to drive it. How did you do that?
You've got to get your ego out of the way. Yeah, most business owners, right? We think we're better than everyone else. We're doing, we're the
so
business
true.
owners. We're the salesperson. No one can sell as well as me. No one looks after my clients as well as me. And you know what? To a degree, it's true. The fact of the matter is, though, with that attitude, you never give someone that's a 7 out of 10 room to grow into a 10 out of 10. And one of the most powerful things is that the people that I've now got in my team, that I was better at them at the time, because they're now laser focused on that particular area of business, they now outstrip where I am.
Oh, right? Perfect.
So they can't carry they don't carry the pressure for the whole can like I have managed to do. And some of that comes through, a lot of entrepreneurs have had challenging upbringings or challenges in their life, and that have given them the skills to be able to manage stressful and changeable situations. But when they're focusing on one really good area and they laser focus on it, they can then become absolutely fantastic at that area of business. And then that gives them the ability to grow. And that means that the team as a whole is now a sum greater than the parts.
Yeah.
So that's for me, the key area is you've got to step out of the way. And one of the ways that I do that is I have a 7 out of 10 rule. Okay. So if you're in my management team, I expect you to make good decisions 7 times out of 10. Right? If you're, if you're looking after a client, I expect you to be a 7 out of 10. Whatever the rule is, it's 7 out of 10 to start with, and then there's room to grow.
Yeah.
If somebody's a 5, that's a problem. That means that there's issues. But once you can allow somebody to have that latitude, it takes the pressure off them. People make mistakes under pressure. So by giving them that freedom and going, okay, well, what's the learning from this, rather than screaming and bawling. And let's face it, early on in my career, I absolutely was not a nice person to work for.
Right.
The turnover of staff in my business was, when I look at it, we turned over probably about 50% of staff turnover in the first 5 years of business.
Okay.
And now it's, it's single digit.
Yeah.
My team have been with me 11 years, 10 years, 7 years, 6 years. And obviously we bring in new blood when we need to. But we recruit to buy the time for the people that are already in the team rather than recruiting to grow the business. It's one of the other mistakes that people make when hiring. They think, I need to grow my business. I'm going to bring this person in to grow the business. Well, you're then putting all the pressure and all the growth on this new person that's got no track record within your business. So if you recruit then to buy the time back for people that are existing within your team, they then have this ability to integrate in, and then the pressure to grow in the business is on your existing team who you've known, you can rely on. They've built the trust up. They know the way the business works. They know the culture of the business. It's far more likely to succeed. And then the final step to that is on your recruiting is can they do the job? That's first and foremost. Will they do the job? And then team fit.
Yeah.
And it's just about looking and implementing those simple 3 questions into the recruitment process whittles it down, because I've been guilty in the past of looking to recruit people and going, they're really good, I like them, they don't quite fit, but we can make the job work for them. And I think as a smaller business it's easier to do that because people tend to wear many hats. But as the company becomes more robust, then people need a role that's theirs. Because I think there are some mentalities, people that this is what I do, this is what I want to do, this is what they're driven to achieve. And you've got to give them the platform to do that. I
totally agree. And I just to go back to this point in time where you come back from Thailand and you realise that the people in your team are just melting and they're not doing what they should do. So I feel like there'll be people listening to this going, I've got a team of 10, right, it's like really hard, I'm having to push them along, they're not leading anything. Like what would be your advice to them? Like, did you just have frank conversations with everybody when you came back? So this is what I would have expected, or like this is what I need. Like, how did you start that process?
Okay, I made some drastic changes. So I started leaning much more heavily on my business consultant, right, with Paul, because before I would go to them and there would be a lot more involved in this business. But I'm thinking about 2 individuals. I'm not going to name them. But I'm thinking about 2 individuals in particular that I used to lean on quite heavily. And, so I've got to take some accountability for it. In fact, as a leader, it's all my responsibility. And the fact of the matter is that I didn't give them the latitude. I didn't necessarily give them the culture. I did give them the opportunity to step up, but they didn't. So I simply said, things are going to change, and this is the way things are going to be moving forward. But I stopped leaning on them. So I think that they thought they were integral to the business.
Right. Because
I leaned on them so heavily, but because they let me down, I then chose to learn how to leverage and lean on it elsewhere, like a business mentor, and they both felt that they were I'm not sure what quite the word is, but mitigated. But they both decided that they no longer wanted to work for the business, and they moved on.
Okay.
And that then gave me the opportunity to bring people in. It didn't happen overnight. It's something that happened over the next 3 to 6 months.
Yeah. And I do think that just from that, when you say like they then chose to move on, often business owners can get really stressed when somebody leaves, even if they're not potentially the right fit, but actually this is always like an opportunity to level up, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
100%.
Yeah.
And one of the great, I've done a lot of learning with Tony Robbins and other sort of business mentors and mindset coaches, is everything's an opportunity, no matter what, because it's either an opportunity to do something or it's an opportunity to learn. And if you go into any challenge with whatever this is what it is, I can't control it, all I can do is control how I react to it. Once you have that shift in your mindset, then A, anything's possible, but B, if you will look and find the win. There is a win in every single situation. And you just have to have your eyes open and look for it. Definitely.
So, okay, just fast forwarding a bit then. So you've worked on your business. You've got this team in place. You're working 5 hours a week, did you say, on the clear visual?
Yeah.
What does life look like now? Because I know that it's not that you're just using that time to
bum around.
Yeah.
No. No. So about 2 years ago, I knew that I wanted to do something else. And so I started, and I became an accidental landlord of a property, and I was like, oh, okay, there's an opportunity here. So I started working with a property investor guy by the name of Aaron Curry.
Okay.
Do you know Aaron?
Well, I do now via Rivka, who I know you work with. Yeah.
And so Aaron's an amazing human being. He runs a fantastic property education program called Insight, and but he's also a Tony Robbins student.
Right.
And he opened the door to me for personal development.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But through his programs, I acquired a few investment properties, some big holiday lets, some buy-to-lets, sort of across the country. He taught me how to leverage using other people's money. So I've now, I own a multi-million-pound portfolio of properties that I've not put any of my own money into. That on its own it brings in a reasonable amount of money each month. That makes life easier. But it's still, it's great, but it still wasn't fulfilling enough for me.
Right.
And that's where I attended Tony Robbins' Business Mastery course in January, and it became apparent that I own a £14 million company, 14-year-old company, multi-million pounds. And to get to that age and that turnover, actually a really, really small percentage of the businesses ever get there. And I kind of worked out, I do know a little bit about what I'm doing. I've got a great track record. And not only have I built a business successful, I've managed to still own it and not be run by it. And so...
Be a business operator, Tony says, isn't it?
Yeah, business operator to become a true business owner.
Yeah.
And I plan later this year to move to 5 hours a month. But what I intend to do with my time now is I've just launched a new company called Peak9. And Peak9 is my business coaching, business mentorship, and a mindset business. So there's a couple of programs that I'm working on. I want to be working with smaller, maybe six-figure, low seven-figure businesses, business owners that are in the trenches. They're artists, right? They love what they do. They're really passionate. They're fantastic at doing it. But they're back at that stage where they're doing all the work and they don't know how to get away from it. They don't understand how to have a strategic vision, what they need to put in place, how to align that with their personal life. They don't yet understand how to leverage their people, how to leverage systems. They don't have a constant and never-ending improvement of the marketing systems, the sales systems, and the finance systems. And really look at how they can optimize their business. But for me, the biggest transformation for them will be culture of their team and culture of their clients.
Okay.
So Tony Robbins calls it raving fans.
Yeah.
And I implemented this in my business a couple of years ago, and it's a transformation. When you look for the purpose of creating raving fans out of your clients, and you seek their feedback consistently, systematically, to say, how have we performed, and then they're giving you the feedback, and the feedback we're getting from the clients is fantastic, and the team are reading this amazing feedback that they're getting from the clients, and they're going, oh, this feels so good. So they're then going back in, and they're they're turning up. So it's just a self-fulfilling
flywheel of good news, basically.
Good news, yeah. And so the clients are always getting the best out of us, and it doesn't mean I'm not going to pretend that no one makes mistakes, because people make mistakes.
Of course.
It's how you deal with those mistakes,
yeah.
And how you deal with clients. But the raving fans culture, my job, soon to be someone else's job, will be to look after the team. Our job is to provide them with the platform to be their very best, to love what they do, and thrive in that environment. And then their job is to make sure that the clients get the very best of experiences, that our suppliers have the best of experiences. So for me, it's a hand up and a hand down situation. Everybody has to be winning. There's too many people have this lose-win mentality.
Yeah.
It's win-win. How do you have a win-win in any given situation? And if you go into every single opportunity, there will be people that take advantage of it, and that's okay. That's their problem. We just move on and get on with things. But so my mastermind, which for the smaller businesses is focused around that framework, how to implement that on 1 hour a week. So you've got this really structured framework for how to get out of the out of the reeds and get on with managing your business. So you'll have less stress. Maybe they won't hit the bottle, when they get home. Maybe they won't miss their school kids' sports day or the Christmas play. That their partner isn't feeling frustrated that they're not being given the right amount of attention. And, because entrepreneurs, they're driven to succeed. And sometimes that laser focused on I've got to make this work, and it's pressure. But the fact of the matter is, the pressure is only internal.
Yeah.
Right. It's up to you to literally, you can choose to turn that off. But the only way you're going to turn it off is by going, right, I have a system with which to work in. And that's what the framework for Peak 9 is looking to do. And then I'm also looking for more one-to-one clients at the higher end who maybe got more successful businesses, but don't know how to step away from it. And they'd like to get to working 5 hours a week.
Yeah.
So that's more of a one-to-one basis because it's going to be a lot more in the trenches, understanding the businesses and giving great advice, hopefully.
Yeah, no, totally. That sounds amazing. And clearly you're passionate about helping people with personal development. And I just wanted to talk to you about your personal development, because it seems like since you found the first coach, Paul, and then Aaron, and then Tony Robbins, and I know you got a Tony Robbins coach, which is how we met.
Yeah.
Like, it seems like you have gone, okay, like you felt the impact of starting to work on your personal development clearly, and you've gone up. And I just wanted, because I feel like a lot of business owners who listen to this, whilst like for lots of us, it's like natural to listen to a good podcast or to join a mastermind or to go and get coaching. But I feel like for lots of business owners, they might actually not necessarily know it exists, or that other people like have made mistakes before and can show them the way. And I'd just like to talk a bit about like the personal development you've been doing recently and what that's meant for you.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm so grateful for coming across. So I went to Aaron's event in the first instance. So the financial settlement that I had in my divorce was, at the time, felt like the worst thing in the world that could possibly happen to me.
Right.
I was like, oh. And I was in shock for a couple of months. It felt so painful.
A couple of months,
yeah,
really?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I moved from the house for like 2 months.
Right, okay.
Over Christmas and New Year. And then I'm like, well, I need to make some more money.
Okay.
How do I make some more money? And that's when I decided that I wanted to, I can do some property investment, do something. And I've got this huge bill to pay on a monthly basis, And the best thing that ever happened to me, by the way, is the fact that this financial sector, because it got me out of my comfort zone, because I was earning a reasonable amount of income, where the judge gave 30% of it away for the next 7 years, which is fine, because it led me to somewhere where I learned what personal development really was. So Aaron's a Tony student. He taught me some mindset. I then went to Date with Destiny, which is in Florida, and which is a 6-day, 15 hours a day seminar, which just blew my mind. Right, so I turned up, and we're in the studio, and there's like 1,200 people, and they're all jumping around crazy, woo woo, Americans, and I'm like, oh God, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And but literally, I learned that we carry around a set of values that have been imprinted on us from our parents, from our grandparents, and we think that's us. We think that's where we come from. And I didn't realise you can reprogram that. You can literally choose to go, actually, that's not me. This way of living was decided by possibly my great grandparents,
right,
who lived in the 1900s or 1800s. In a world that doesn't have any reflection on the way we live today. And we carry it around like baggage, and it leaves us feeling desperately unfulfilled because we're trying to measure up to something that's not congruent with who we truly are. So learning that we can reprogram ourselves consciously with a view to understanding where our values are. Well, actually, because if you've got a value of being successful, right, and that's your most important value, and you'll do anything. But then you have a definition of what is successful. What does that actually mean? Yeah. So for me, all the pressure that I put on myself is I had to be the most successful person in the room.
Right.
Right. Well, and then I had to be, I had to have a nice house and I had to have a nice car. Well, these are all wonderful things that can drive you forward. But the amount of pressure that's putting onto you is ridiculous. We make it really hard to achieve the things that we value. And then we have things where that have been painful in life, whether it's a fear of rejection or being lonely, and people will do anything to feel that. But what we do is we make it really easy to feel that. So I'm rejected if somebody doesn't come to my party. I'm rejected if somebody doesn't invite me to their party. And we make all it really, really easy for people to feel like we're rejected by people. And, these people have got all the, hundreds of different values that people can work towards and work away from. But what's amazing is that you can make a simple shift by moving the ands and the ors the other way around. So I can feel successful if I have a good job. I can feel successful if I have a nice car. Mm-hmm. But I don't have to have all of them. I don't have to be the most successful person in the room, but it would be nice, right? But if you are the most successful person, you're in the wrong room.
That's also true.
But then to feel like we're failing on the other side of it, if we put the and, that has to happen, and that has to happen, and that has to happen in order for me to feel that way, then actually we're making it harder.
Yeah.
To feel bad, and we're making it easier to feel good. That on its own was just unbelievable. But then we look at how we can, just change the way that we order our values, and we can be really focused and concentrated on it. And this is 3 15-hour days process of going through this. So, I've probably done Tony a bit of a disservice for that. But it's a great introduction. But I walked away from Date with Destiny a different human being, a different aspect on life, that everything that happens to me happens for me, right? And there's learning in everything, and this is some of the aspect of that I'll be looking to work with the people as well, is be able to share the benefits of mindset. Mm-hmm. I've spent well into the 6 figures on training in the last 2 years alone.
Wow. Okay.
So I've done multiple business courses, multiple mindset courses, wealth courses, finance courses, life courses, leadership, real estate, wealth. There's so much learning, and I think I'm spending about £3,000 a week on self development, and the trajectory that has come off the back end of that has been phenomenal. So I'm blessed that I was in that situation, that I could afford to do that.
But I guess you started small as well, didn't you? Do you know what I mean? Like back in 2015 or whenever it was.
Oh, God, yeah.
It's kind of like been a trajectory, hasn't it? Of the impact of developing yourself has leveled everything up, and then you go again, and then you go again.
Yeah, and the thing is, every time I've invested in myself, there's been a return on that investment. Mm-hmm. So then the return on investment has been greater. So there's been a multiple, so I can invest more, and then there's been a multiple. And then so the Tony Robbins stuff, I've spent £100,000 with Tony Robbins in the last 12 months alone.
Because you're a platinum partner.
I'm a platinum partner, which means that I get to hang out with really cool people who have got the same values, same mindset, that are driven to live a better quality of life for themselves and for others. Ultimately, Tony teaches you the life of service, mm-hmm. Which is something that is. You always used to think the rich people were just in it for themselves, and there are cases of that. What I love about the Platinum Partnership is it's very much about a community of people that are there to serve each other and to serve others. And that change in mindset has been really quite revolutionary for me. Mm-hmm. So, like I say, I spent all this money, but by being in the right rooms with the right people, and being in a mastermind at that kind of level, I attended an event and I met up with somebody who owned a video conferencing software company. They developed some software, they didn't know how to take it to market.
Oh, wow.
So now I'm non-exec director on their board, helping them to go to market for this global software company. And again, so that's just another stream to the bow. So having the mindset that A, I can do this, and then B, being in the right room with the right people, again, it's just another string that adds onto my bow.
Yeah.
So now I'm looking to help pay that forward and help other people do the same thing.
Absolutely. And so this podcast is all about helping business owners understand how they can enjoy the journey, because I just feel it pains me that so many of them, they'll have a skill, they start a business thinking, oh, I'm going to get more time, more money, and then the reverse happens completely.
Yeah.
But so many business owners, I know you've got into personal development and it happens to lots of us, but so many of them just get stuck. Mm-hmm. Like at my PA, we talk to so many of them where they're like, I'm working the evenings, the weekends. And while that's fine, sometimes when you're doing it every week for not as much reward, it's really painful. So clearly, like, is it fair to say that like you're enjoying the journey now? You're enjoying the weeks? Would you say you love it?
I have the most incredible life. I'm truly blessed. I'm learning to play golf for some stupid reason. That's the ultimate mindset challenge. But no, I look the journey is the fun, right? Because I only do what I want to do. I don't have to do anything, because I've built a team of people around me. Now, of course, when I'm working with clients, I have a responsibility to them to serve them at the highest level. But they're so fulfilling when you sit down and you can see the impact that you're having with somebody's life and somebody's business is just so rewarding. This afternoon when we finish, I'm going to go and go to Chorlton, have a round of golf with some other people that I've met through the real estate world. And I'm going to spend quality time with my family this weekend. I won't pick up an email because Rivka checks all my emails for me. She's an absolute godsend. She's been transformational for me.
Oh, wow.
And so because I've had PAs work within my business, but because I'm now running across 4 businesses and my personal life, I wanted to separate it from my core business. And I'm working with Rivka, who's experienced with real estate. She's a true crediteer, and she's amazing to work with.
Thanks, Adrian. Thanks for saying that. I just wanted to touch on that because I know obviously you are loving life now, and I love that, and I know everything that will have gone in before it. I'm aware that some people might listen to that and go, well, that's all right for you, Adrian, but like it's not like that for me. I just wanted to, like the journey up to like you going to Thailand for 4 weeks, where you kind of tested the business to see what would happen. You realise I need to make some big changes. Like in that time up to then, were you enjoying it as much? But also, I just want to touch on. Like it is part of the journey also. Do you know, like the hard times have to lead to the good times as well. So I get like you can't have one without the other because it leads you to a place. I just want, if anybody listening thinking, well, I'm not going to the golf later. Like, do you know, how would you say that they can?
You've got to earn your stripes.
Yeah.
Right. I think you've got to get in the trenches. You've got to do the work. Whether there's a limiting belief around that you have to. I think we can work smarter from the beginning.
Yeah.
But I commuted to London for 18 months, at least 3 days a week, and I'd be on the 7 o'clock train to London, and I would be arriving at 9, and I would get to Great Ormond Street or Glencore or wherever I was doing the consultancy work, and then I would leave at 5, and I'd be home about 7:30, 8 o'clock. What was interesting about that time is that I did all my work on the train there and on the train back. I finished work earlier when I travelled to London than when I worked from office or worked from home, because I would come home, read the kids a story, tuck them to bed, and then pull out my laptop, and then I'd finished work. Quite often my wife would come down at like midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning and say, "You coming to bed?"
Yeah.
So I enjoyed it because I loved what I do. I'm so passionate about getting video conferencing out into the market space. When I started this, everyone was thinking, video conferencing just everyday business. It didn't used to be. I used to ring people up when I started, and they didn't have a clue what I was talking about. And my mission was to get people using it within their business, because I know how impactful it can be on saving the journey time for going A to B, and bringing people together that wouldn't get together as often. So I absolutely loved what I do. I had a mission and a drive to achieve it, and most business owners have that. Mm-hmm. It's the collateral cost comes later. It's the impact it has on your kids. It's the impact it has on your partner. The impact it has on your health if you don't look after it properly. Yeah. And it's when you're in it, you don't necessarily see it. And so what I'm trying to help people do is to see it earlier. Recognize there's going to be a collateral damage if you don't pick this up and run with it, because you will also then become a cap to your business. And the thing is if you become a cap to your business, if you're amazing at what you do, you have a duty to your clients to give the more of you as possible to them. And if you limit yourself, then you're actually limiting the amount of good you can do in the world. Mm-hmm. And I think that's key. So I loved what I did. There was a lot of pressure. Would I change it? I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it because of where I am today. It was part of the journey, maybe.
Yeah.
But reaching out, the transformation from when I first reached out and started working with Paul, and then the journey since then has been, it was slow and steady. It's not an overnight. There are no overnight wins, other than making the decision and a commitment that I'm going to start the journey, and then you that relieves the pressure straight away. You know that there's something else next.
Yeah, no, totally. So anybody that is feeling like you were, maybe they've got a team of 10, maybe they're like dragging them along behind them all the time and they're waiting for the next instruction. I guess like the key things that like you reached out to somebody, and that is like a big thing for most business owners, I feel like, whether it's peer-to-peer or somebody that they can talk to. But also your like mindset was a key part of that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. And the mindset moved me from working the 40 to 50 hours a week. Because even though I stopped doing I became a better leader after going to Thailand. I was still in the trenches on a day-to-day basis. I was still winning clients. I was still involved in the finances. Whereas now I have 4 one-hour meetings a week, and that's a touch point for finance, for sales and marketing, and operations. And that's nice and easy, Yeah. But I'm still involved.
Yeah.
I'm still involved in it. But I want. The key thing is that over the last 2 years that since I joined Tony Robbins Platinum Partnership, which I'm coming up to my year, I've been out of the country for 2 weeks a month. And there's a lot that actually makes it very hard to do things. So I'm really looking forward to that coming to an end, because I've loved it and I've loved the community that I've created, and I'll probably do it again at some point in the future. But now it's about implementing about passing it forward.
Yeah, that is a key part, definitely. You can do so much learning, can't you? But that's like the key bit. You need to go and do the implementation too, don't you?
Yeah, learning times action equals results.
Yeah.
or be times do equals have, right? Which is quite a nice way of putting it.
Nice sum, I like that.
Yeah.
Our time, unfortunately, is drawing to a close, and I could talk to you all day, Adrian. I just wanted to ask you what you think about work-life balance, and like, do you think it's possible, or like, what's your take on work-life balance?
So my take on work-life balance is it doesn't exist. Okay, it's about integration. You need to integrate your 2 parts to your life, and it comes off the back of having a strategic vision where you want to be in your personal life and where you want to be in your business life. And that's whether you're a business owner or as an employee. You should just have a really clear idea for what you want to have out of life. Because if you live with intent, then what will happen will happen. Too many people just go with the flow and they don't have a real clear vision for what they want to achieve. And then the other side of it is they have a really limiting belief about what they can actually achieve with what they've got. And so for me, mindset has been the thing that's changed where I see myself in the world and the value that I can bring to the world. And so for me, investing in mindset training, watch podcasts, read books, so number one for me now, as much as I love doing the seminars, is I have an audio book in my car. So when I get in my car, I'm listening to books. I'm listening to the most incredible book at the moment called The Untethered Soul.
Oh, I've never heard of that one.
I can't remember the name of the author, but it's really about consciousness and where it sits, and your fact that your thoughts are not who you are. They're simply, you get to observe your thoughts, and it becomes sounds a bit woo-woo, but it's an amazing book, and I recommend it to anyone.
Really?
Yeah.
I do love that about intent, because I think for me, I agree with you on work-life balance. Like, work is a weird word, isn't it? Because if your intent is really clear, if you're like in your unique ability and you're really enjoying what you're doing, if you like today, this is like giving me loads of energy because I really enjoy it. Like, it's no longer, you don't need to balance that kind of work out, do you? It's like, it's just flow and life, isn't it? And enjoying it. And I do think the more that business owners can get into the things they really love.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it's not that I'm not working.
Yeah.
Because I'm still, I still do a lot of work, although I'm playing golf this afternoon.
Yeah.
But yesterday I did a 12-hour business, a 12-hour property and wealth mastermind. The day before that, I did a 10-hour business mastermind. right? And then I had a couple of days break while I was just doing normal work. And then, I worked Friday, Saturday, Sunday doing a Tony Robbins seminar, his RPM seminar, 5 o'clock in the afternoon till 7 in the morning, 3 days on the road.
That is a tough one on a different time zone at home.
And I'm 51, it takes its toll. But learning to manage your state, learning how you can step into a place emotionally and physically that will transform you from being in a crappy mood to a good mood, and knowing that it's a skill that you can practice. So
and deploy when you need it.
Yeah. So at 5 o'clock in the morning, I was like, oh God, it's getting light again. And Tony just done a break, so he's going on for at least another 2 hours. Yeah. And you don't want to do it by drinking caffeine. So.
And then the music comes back on.
Yes.
And you're like, oh yeah, no, I'm ready again. And the dancers come back on.
And you got to get up and move.
Yeah.
You got to get up and move. So yeah, it's amazing. Yeah.
That is really fantastic, Adrian. I can't thank you enough for coming on today and sharing your story, because I just think one thing that's happened in all the podcasts I've recorded today, just business owners don't give themselves enough credit, and what you've achieved in what year was it you started your business?
2010.
2010 to now, wow, it's such a turnaround as well from how and when you're spending your time.
Yeah.
So it's just it's really, I want to show how possible it is to make, even if right now you're feeling so stuck in the weeds, it's completely possible to turn it around.
Absolutely.
That was fantastic. Thank you so much, Adrian.
Thank you.